we need to, as a community, kick these folks out. We need to recognize the behaviors, and we need to kick a lot of these folks out the community, or ignore them, or just kick them out. That'd be better. But it's important that we do so, because if we don't recognize these behaviors and stuff, before you know it, they've been infiltrated the community. And then, we will look back and we be like, wait a minute, why are all of our people fighting against each other? Why is the biracial, mixed race, MGM community falling apart? And then turns out it's because the black and white community infiltrated the mixed and MGM spaces. Okay? Okay? And we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't need that. So whenever you recognize, even like, I don't want to say this, but I do want to say that I do need to say this. I think that there are some white and black people creating fake accounts to pretend to be mixed race, biracial, just so that they can gain information on the mixed race MGM community, so that when they go back to their communities, they can use that information against us. Okay? So be careful, my biracials, mixed race MGM people. Be careful who you tell and share your business to, even your community, your channels, because not everybody has the best interest in you. It could be your friends, your family, people online, your online friends, especially if they're in the black community or white community. Okay? But even on your channels, be careful what you share or how you say things. Okay? Because again, you want to monitor and watch out, and I'm gonna do a video on that, how to watch out for the subtle hints and red flags of a person that's a possible lurker. So a hate watcher or lurker is basically somebody that will try to go to your page and watch your content, even though they know they hate it or dislike it, and they dislike you or people like you. And they'll either spam your comments with hate, or comment nothing but hate, or they'll stalk your content, stalk your followers, threaten your followers, threaten you. Now, extreme hate watchers and lurkers, sometimes they'll go as far as to do something like doxing. And doxing is when they stalk your every move and try to find out information about you from other people, other sources, including online and outside of the internet, and try to get personal information about you to use against you, so everyone could turn on you and tarnish your reputation, possibly. So again, and I noticed that there's a lot of people that hate the biracial MGM community, and communities. They hate the channel, So I'm just telling y'all, I'm just warning y'all, be careful, because and I've noticed there are some like these accounts will have little to zero subscribers or followers. And usually, they'll say some weird stuff that usually we know us mixed race people or MGM people wouldn't say, but they'll say something that's really strange or weird. And I'm gonna tell you about the signs and what to watch out for in the words and comments. I'm gonna tell you about that. I'm gonna make a video about that in the future, but as of right now, I'm gonna continue on with the other possible, with the other problems that the community faces. Okay, so yeah, I just basically discussed that there are people within the black and white community that will try to use like Wasians versus Blasians, or Blasians versus mulattoes, talk about who experiences the worst and less and all that, just to further spread division. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that I noticed is a problem is that a lot of mixed race, multi-ethnic, and this is globally any racial mixture, they have talked about experiencing like bullying, growing up and experiencing a lot of bullying. Rather it was at school, even in their job places, workplace, or even events, or even by their family members or adults, like a lot, they have experienced bullying, or even by their own peers. So, yeah, I've noticed that has been a problem within the mixed race MGM biracial community, you know. Um Another thing that I've noticed is a lot of people would say that like within the biracial mixed race communities that they experience backhanded compliments. Yeah, I've noticed that, that's a problem. And another problem that I noticed within the biracial MGM spaces is that a lot of monoracials like to call mixed race individuals slurs, racial slurs, offensive slurs, and I'm gonna make a video about that because I just think it's hypocritical how it's racist to call someone within the black community a monkey. It's racist to call somebody within the black community a N word, especially the hard ER, or the N word in general. And even the white community is racist to call someone like a redneck, trailer trash, honky cracker. It's racist to call them those things. And stuff like that. But whenever it's the mixed race person, MGM, it's okay to refer to them as a half caste. It's okay to refer to them as a mulatto. It's like, and that's another thing. A lot of people have a problem with the word mulatto, but it's like, how are you gonna tell someone not to use the word mulatto that's of mulatto descent while you're using it freely with no problem? Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. That's just like me saying you shouldn't. That's like me telling a full blown black person you shouldn't use the N word. You shouldn't use the N word while saying the full N word, and it's just like, what? But yeah, I'm gonna make a video about that, but there's a lot of stuff I'm gonna make a video about, so I'm gonna have a lot of content. But yeah, I just think yeah, it's a problem. Another thing that I think is a problem in the mixed race MGM biracial community is that a lot of mixed race and biracial people are gaslit into. So I've heard this term biracial tears. Yeah, biracial tears. And yeah, biracial crybabies and stuff like that, right? And I just think that's like so gaslighty, and it's just like, what, half white tears and all that. And it's just like, if someone's abusing you, I'm just gonna put the note out there. If someone is abusing you or purposely making you feel bad or feel some type of way, they're purposely tempting you, and you react to that, it's called reactive abuse. So if a person says, oh, you're just sensitive, you're just crying, oh, da, 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 like basically harassing or criticizing you because you feel you're only reacting to what they did, that's like, no, like, is literally reactive abuse and gaslighting, you know. So yeah, just pay attention for that. And another thing is that um I'm seeing a lot of people like monoracials tell biracials, especially the black community, people within the black community tell people like, whenever we hold the black community accountable, I'm seeing them say some, and I think this is because some of them want to avoid accountability for their actions. They don't want to take it, so they'll say something along the lines of, "Well, y'all mixed race y'all only got smoke for black people. Y'all only criticize or accuse y'all black side. Y'all never criticize or accuse. Y'all never really ridicule y'all white side and have smoke or confront your white side whenever something's a problem." And I'm gonna tell you something. Now, yes, there might be some biracials, MGMs, that might only have smoke for their black side. But I'm going to tell you right now, that is not me. Okay? And another thing is, maybe I have a theory. I might have a theory of why a lot of biracials might just have a lot of smoke or might call out the black community a lot. Guess what? And maybe because the black community does a lot of bullcrap. Like, I don't, like I said, like, yeah, you have white people, like the white community, that might not accept the biracial person, but that's not all the white community. And I'm not saying that's not all the black community either. I'm not saying all black community is, prejudice or whatever against biracials. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that I don't see a lot of the white community spewing a lot of hatred, is as much hatred and disdain, and do a lot of the things that the black community does to biracials at the same rate as the black community. At the same rate the black community does to biracials, MGMs, and so forth. I don't see it at the same pace, happening at near the same pace as the black community, okay? And I'm not saying that the white community doesn't, because yes, there are a lot of white racist families that harm and use biracials when it's necessary. I'm not denying it, but also I'm not just gonna sit here and pretend like it's on the same level. That's what we're not gonna do. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like the white community is being problematic and more problematic than the black community. I'm not about to do that, because evidence and social media and etc. will tell you the other way around. Okay, like, I can just go to a mixed race person's channel and I could see hate comments from, I don't even have to scroll, and you could already see there's hate comments calling them shut up mixed breed and all that stuff, and usually it's from a black person. So, and then even with the high yellow and all that stuff, light bright and all that stuff, like, going back to the colorism topic, like, I don't even have to scroll and there's already comments and you to see your father. I don't have to scroll for that. You already know it's going to be there. But for a white person, I literally would have to scroll, and I had to scroll, and guess what? When I did find a couple of disrespectful, mean comments from white people, it was only like literally maybe one or two. One or two out of a handful, one or two. It might have been like one or two white people that were being racist and whatever stuff like that, but not a lot. But the black community, oh no, it's different. So let's just not sit here and pretend that the black community doesn't have a full hand in, I mean, not full, but most, like a huge hand in when it comes to anti-biracialness, anti-mixed raceness, because that is the truth, you know. And I'm gonna get into that another video. I'm gonna go in depth into that. Like, there's a lot of topics that I'm gonna go in depth into, discussing these topics, regarding these topics that I'm talking about in this video. Okay, so yeah, another thing is that I see is a problem in the biracial mixed race MGM community is that I'm seeing a lot of mixed race and MGM biracial people being accused of being a culture vulture, or being told that they can't wear or say something because they're not fully of that culture. So they're being accused of being a colonizer, a culture vulture, etc. They're being accused of cultural appropriation, and it's and even maybe blackface, and it's stupid to me, you know and it's just like, how can they be appropriator of something that they are a part of? How can they appropriate something that they're literally a part of? How can you say to somebody who is half black, how can you tell them, oh, you're appropriating black culture, but aren't they part black? So how can they appropriate something that they are a part of? Like, that doesn't make sense. Now, while I do agree that there is, to some like, there is a level to some extent, because they are only half of that. So I do agree to a certain extent that there is a level, but I'm gonna actually share my opinion. I'm gonna make a video on that. Actually, I'm gonna make some content on that in particular. Of when it comes to the culture stuff. And a few more other things that I think is a problem within the biracial MGM community is one thing that I'm thinking about right now is that everybody wants to humble biracials, MGMs, etc. Like, I done seen it to where some people will be like, oh, just because you mixed race or MGM doesn't mean you're special. You're not special. You're regular degler. Yeah, I've seen this type of behavior, like, from both black, white, and etc. communities. People would tell them, oh, well, you make being biracial your whole personality. We don't care. And some people, I've seen some white people will say something, well, as long as you're a good person, then why does race have to be a thing? And why are you, and why are you always making about race, and who cares as long as you're a good person, or as long as you I don't know. And while I do agree with that to a certain extent, I also think it's full of bullcrap, because if we want to look back at if we look back at things, it's like, white people, wake up. Y'all made race a such thing. Y'all the ones that brought up race. Y'all made the system of race. So while you sitting here saying that race shouldn't be such thing, check your folks, check your people, because y'all the ones that brought race into the world, that made up these terms and labels and all that stuff. So don't sit up here and try to gaslight me and my individual and say that, well, we shouldn't worry about race and you're a human being, that's all that matters, and but history says otherwise. So don't sit up here and try to, say that race doesn't matter. I see no color, when that's clearly a lie. That's been debunked. So yeah. Um. So yeah. I think I'm running out of ideas in today's video. I think I've pretty much shared what I want to share. If I think of something real quick, I will say it. I'm gonna take a minute and try to think about something that affects the biracial MGM community. Oh, here's another huge thing that I just thought of. People like to dictate who is biracial and who is not. And I've seen this a lot. Like, people try to dictate who is biracial and who's not. It's like, we understand that you can dictate who is black and who is not, who is white, who is not, who is Asian and who is not, who is mixed. I mean, who is not mixed, but Mexican or Hispanic, who is not. But what you're not going to do is get to decide who is mixed and not. And if anything, that's for the biracial community to decide that such thing. You don't get to decide who is biracial, who's not. And I stand 10 toes on that. I stand down 10 toes on that. Like, what you're not going to do is decide who is mixed and who is not. I don't give a care. I said what I said, and it's going to apply. And like I said, like, that's just that. And I've been seeing some comments where they'll say, there's no such thing as mixed race. You're either black or you're white. And it's just like, no. They're trying to, like, erase our identities. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Trying to tell us that mixed race doesn't exist. And it's like, no. Mixed race does exist. You're not about to sit up here and say otherwise. So anyways, I think that's all I pretty much had to say in the video. If I think of something, I'll make a video part 3. But otherwise, I think that's all I've said in this video. So anyways, give it a like and subscribe. Stay notified. And yeah, have a great day.